Hello, beautiful soul family. Rebecca here, your vibe mentor. Let's talk today about the 7 mistakes that I made when trying to understand and heal my trauma. And the one thing that finally worked and allowed me to move from that paralyzed state of living into my dreams and creating all that you see here and much more. So we'll just jump right in. No sense in beating around the bush. I struggled with trauma for a long time and I did not understand what I was working with. And the number one mistake that I made was rumination. Now, I like to think of myself as a fairly intellectual person. I really enjoy learning. I love solving problems. I love thinking. I like thinking about things. I enjoy my inner world. And for me, I thought as I'm sure is the case with many who struggle with trauma, because we are so in our heads and so in our brains, we tend to get on that hamster wheel of thought that just goes round and round and round, trying to solve the problem. So I didn't know that it was rumination at the time. I thought I was just trying to solve the problem. And you hear about monkey mind. And so that tells me, right, that, oh, everybody must do this. But I remember even asking my son, like, what are you thinking about right now? And he would say nothing. And I'm like, how is that even possible? Aren't we always thinking about something? And so the hamster wheel of constantly trying to solve the problem, or the rumination on the problem, rethinking over and over, why did I make that mistake? Why did I do that thing? Why didn't that person love me? Why did I, right? Why me? All of these me, my, I thoughts that create our suffering were haunting me. And I did it because I thought that I was going to be able to solve the problem with my mind. I thought I was going to be able to figure it out. And to some degree, I did eventually stumble into trauma healing and understanding complex trauma and learning about it. But that is not what healed me. In fact, it continued to cause a lot of suffering until I learned how to knock it off. I thought that eventually I would get out of this pain through my thinking. And it unfortunately was not the case. I learned over time that the thought actually was causing my problem more than the thinking was actually solving the problem. So that was mistake number one. Mistake number two, I want to be careful. Talk therapy certainly helped me, but it did not solve my trauma. Talk therapy saved my life. I will say that when I was in the depths of the depression, I was stuck in my head. I just, that ruminating, just going round and round and round. I literally asked the therapist, I feel like I'm a prison in my own mind, right? I feel like I'm always in my own head. How do I get out of my head? And probably should bring up one of the other ones. We'll talk about that one next. But he exposed me to a book called The Peaceful Mind. It's cognitive behavioral therapy. At that time did not understand what was happening in my head. So yes, to some degree, talk therapy helped, but it is on the list of mistakes because I thought that talk therapy was going to resolve the problem, and talk therapy alone does not work. Talk therapy helped to some degree, but I very much came to a roadblock where, again, it was all cognitive processing. I was again still in my head. We were rehashing things over and over and over and talking about them ad nauseum. And I thought that that was, again, going to solve the problem. People say go to therapy to heal trauma, and that makes sense. And it's helpful. It's a necessary component, but it is not everything. And what I thought I would gain from that was, again, reducing the suffering, reducing the pain, escaping the inner dialogue, I like to call it the trauma demon that just barks in my ear all day long about how I'm a problem, or my life is a problem, or always focused on the problems. That's what the trauma brain does. All right, what I learned from that is, yes, talk therapy is helpful. Yes, it is necessary. The compassionate witness is a key component in trauma healing, but it is not what will move you from that place of feeling paralyzed and stuck and isolated and alone and you against the world. It's not what moved me forward into being able to truly live a free life. All right, so number three, I will say, is very much closely related to that, is that cognitive behavioral therapy piece. It's also in the spiritual world, think positive to manifest, right? It's the spiritual bypassing of positive thinking. Now, yes, positive, see all these things on this list, they're necessary components, they're helpful, but they were still mistakes in trying to heal trauma, because these things alone don't move me towards the freedom that we seek, right? So positive thinking, or controlling my thoughts, or cognitive behavioral therapy, this is number 3 on my mistake list. It works when you have already done the trauma, but what I thought I was going to gain was, people tell you think positive to manifest, or you create your own reality with your thoughts. And again, to some degree, there is truth in all of these things, but it is not wholly the way to solve the trauma, to heal the trauma. It is not alone the thing that's going to move you forward. In fact, what I thought I was going to do was be able to willpower my way through, suck it up, buttercup, keep everything under control, like very tightly grip to the steering wheel of thought control, and resolve my problems that way. What I thought I was going to gain was that I thought I was going to be able to manifest my reality, right? I was going to manifest my dreams. I was going to manifest the man of my dreams, and the dream income, and my own business, and helping and being of service, and the trauma healing spa and retreat center that we're moving towards. I thought through control, I was going to be able to keep my thoughts under control. I was going to be able to direct all 70,000 thoughts that I have in a day towards my dreams. And what I found was that, of course, is not the case, that to some degree, we can control some of our thoughts. We can redirect our thoughts very often, most often, but very rarely are you able to keep your thoughts under control. Very rarely are you able to determine or dictate what thoughts come in. In fact, it's more of a reactive process than it is a proactive process when it comes to controlling our thoughts. So what I learned was that our thoughts and control are not addressed through trying to keep them under control, or trying to focus only on the positive. That there are other ways that we can do that, and that's all part of my program. We're going to get to it, but it's not something that I would suggest, that we need to do the trauma healing first, and then we will come into the mechanisms, be able to access the skills and the abilities to keep our thoughts under control. So I'm not trying to drag you along. We're going to get through the 7 steps, and then I will tell you how to do it here at the end. I'll tell you what worked. The one thing that finally freaking worked, I will tell you. Number 4. Yes, because I move things around. Now my numbers are off. Number 4 was meditation. Again, very similar to positive thinking, but I thought that I was going to meditate my way into a healed state. I thought that just in stillness and peace alone, I was going to be able to step into the new healed version of me. And it's interesting because when you talk about manifestation or timelines, or stepping into your future self, it is through this process, but it's not alone the thing that's going to carry you there, right? So I thought that I was going to find the healed version of me, and I'd find peace, and I thought I would finally be healed and free of my pain. And what I learned was meditation was great for calming my nervous system. It's great for calming my mind. It's great for opening to receive the guidance that's going to move you into the next step that you need to take, that will move you towards that timeline of that healed version of yourself, right? Number 5, manifestation. Again, I thought that I was just going to float into the next new reality, float into or float away from the pain and the struggle and the hardship and the dark night of the soul, and the challenges with the ex and the business and the work or the job that I didn't like. I thought I was just going to poof, be in this new reality. And sometimes people feel like manifestation is just something that's going to just fall into your lap. And it's not necessarily the case. You have to take action. You have to be committed to the path. You have to know that it doesn't happen overnight. It is a process. The bigger the manifestation that you seek, the more action and time it's going to take to move into that thing, right? So definitely one of the biggest mistakes I made was believing that it was just going to poof, and I was just going to be there, right? Number 6, avoiding triggers, moving into isolation, avoiding the situations that were going to seemingly cause me pain. This is a mistake because what I didn't realize is that the triggers are the gifts, right? The mirrors of the other who help us see our wounds, help us see where we need to heal. And so now I get really excited when I see a trigger. But before, I thought that if I just stayed away from everything that caused me pain, then I would be able to avoid the pain and somehow heal in isolation. I thought that if I avoided the people, places, and things that I didn't like, that made me feel uncomfortable, that eventually I would heal and somehow be able to tolerate those things. What I learned was isolation was more painful, that the triggers actually are the gifts that help me see where I need to heal, that I need people, I need to be in connection with others. In fact, some of the most healing experiences that I have been through in my life are through people. And so avoiding the trigger and avoiding the people was actually perpetuating the pain. And in fact, in our avoidance, we allow that thing to grow. It's kind of like, a little mouse that casts a big shadow on the wall. As an example, I was in a car accident, and by avoiding the intersection where that car accident happened, I became more and more triggered by that intersection. That intersection gained more power and authority over me because I avoided going into it. Right. So don't avoid the triggers. Isolation is not necessarily beneficial. For a time it can be. Certainly stillness and your own energy is necessary, but you can do that and still move in and out of the world. You can still have that alone time. It doesn't necessarily have to lead to perpetual isolation under the guise of healing, right? And then finally, number 7, the biggest mistake I made when trying to deal with my trauma, wanting to move into healing, but really not understanding how to do it, was just numbing out and distracting myself, looking away from, right? It's kind of similar to the avoidance, right? That I would social media, I would read books, I would have lots of wine, I would go out with friends, I would keep myself very, very busy. I would move from work to picking up the kids, to taking them to school, to sports and shopping and whatever else I had to do to just up, right? From one thing to the next, never being in that stillness to sit and look at, what am I feeling, right? Avoiding the sensations in my body, right? Numbing out, right? That was part of meditation. That's what I meant to say with meditation, was just really trying to escape my body, my emotions, and not being willing to look at it. I did it because it hurt and I didn't know how to deal with it. And I thought that eventually, right? And I don't even think it's a cognitive thought. I think subconsciously we think that if I just avoid this, this will go away. But, kind of like rotting food, it's going to ferment and it's going to stink. And it's become more and more obvious if you don't address it, right? So how do I finally move through this trauma? Thank goodness. The solution. What is the solution? Tell me, right? I found somatic healing therapies. I was healed myself through my therapy with my therapist, in brain spotting. I was trained in that, and then transitioned into trauma spotting when I started to combine that with energy healing and source guidance. So the full name is trauma spotting through source tapping, because that's what differentiates this. That if you go to a therapy office and you do brain spotting, but there's not that spiritual element, you'll still feel like you're missing something. And one of the biggest, most common trauma responses is this belief that I'm not enough. I'm not enough. There's never enough. The world is not enough. People are not enough. Not enoughness. And that is healed through our connection to source. When we recognize and remember the creator of the universe made me just as I am, perfectly imperfect for a purpose. There is not a single thing that is bad, wrong, or broken about me or you or any other person. Then you can finally step into that worthiness, that knowing, like, holy crap, man. The creator of the universe, who created everything I see, loves me that much, that I was made with infinite perfection and divine detail, every single ounce of me exactly as I am. then the worthiness can start to come back. And I didn't get that in talk therapy. I didn't get that with a traditional therapist. And there's a reason why I do things the way I do them, so that I can have the freedom to speak to you about your divinity, because that's regulated and they can't do that. Right. So, and I want to be careful, because that's not true. If it is of your belief system and you expose your belief system and you let them know that's how you feel and believe, then they can introduce that to you, but they're not going to be able to bring that to you unless you are making it known that that's how you believe and what you'd like to talk about. The other reason trauma spotting healed me is the body piece. It's the somatic piece, right? We talk about somatic flashbacks. It's a physical sensation in your body where your body is responding as if you were back in that situation. So that's why we have to work with the body, because the body keeps the score. The body is naturally designed to heal. It knows how to heal itself. And so through this, when you set the stage, when you know how to set the proper environment for healing, the body will heal you. That's the beauty of this, is you don't have to talk about it. I don't have to hear all of the gory details of the stuff that you did or didn't do or experienced. You can just feel it in your body as we go through the process, and your body will heal you. And that's why this is so soft and easy, is because it's effortless. You don't have to cry anymore, although crying is good. If that's what wants to come up, then never suppress it, but the body will handle the healing. And I absolutely love the new relationship that you can have with your body, because your body is like the mother that wants to nurture and hold your soul. It loves you so deeply. It wants to connect with you. In fact, did you know the brain is often the last to know and the body knows first? Right? So healing your relationship with your body opens you up to, who am I authentically? Who was I before the world changed me? What is my purpose? What are my gifts? My gifts come online. I can open to receive. I'm no longer in resistance and blocking my manifestations. I'm in my feminine, receiving, allowing, source pouring through me. Ooh, the way your body vibrates when that healing comes through, that is what you seek. I hear people say, I just want to go home. I'm not from here. There is home within you, accessible in any moment. It's all right there. Home is where the heart is, meaning right here. Come home, right? The source tapping piece combined with the natural healing abilities of the body, calling in that healing, hearing the guidance, and then the compassionate witness of the other on the other side of you. Someone like me or another trauma spotting therapist out there. There are some, we are training them. Join. I need to get it up on my website. Give me a couple days, but very soon we will have a directory on our website of all of the people who are certified. And you can look for someone who has your tone, who speaks your language, who has the other healing modalities that you're searching for. There's an army of healers being prepared. There are so many people out there who can help you with this. It is beautiful. So if you're ready to move from those mistakes, right? The pining for, and you know what? I'm going to give you a bonus. The eighth mistake I made when trying to heal my trauma was searching outside of myself. Something out there has got to heal me, when the healing comes from within. And once you learn how to do that, when you have the compassionate witness to help you see how to heal your nervous system, desensitize those triggers, reprogram the subconscious, bring everything back online so that you are driving fully in one direction, mind, body, and soul unity, right? When you're not healed, the body's trying to drag you this way and the soul's trying to drag you that way, right? The body says, that's not safe. In the limbic system, the brain, that's not safe, right? This is the glass ceiling of trauma that keeps us from stepping into our purpose and our gifts. But when you heal the body, you bring the nervous system back online, you're driving towards the goal, unified. You are unstoppable. So if you're ready for healing, check out Trauma Spotting. Lots of links below for you. I'd love to see you. My calendar is booked out a couple months, but you could get in relatively soon. Otherwise, I will see you on the next video. Namaste, my friends. Take care. I love you.